The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon and welcome to this new webinar from SMI. My name's Matthew Yeomans. I'm the co-founder of SMI, and I'll be one of the speakers today on the webinar. I know a few of you are still joining us, so we'll take the time just to do the introduction and just to kind of say a few house rules before we start the presentations. Today, you are going to hear from myself and also from Amanda Ortega, who is the CSR technical expert at Lavola. And we're going to be talking about different elements of innovation in sustainability reporting and the trends of the tools that are happening for all types of organizations. Our host and sponsor for the webinar is Wisness, who provide the Wisness publishing platform that SMI uses to publish the Social Media Sustainability Index. And what you're going to hear a little bit about today from myself is an update on the index in the way that sustainability is being and sustainability reporting is being communicated. Excuse me, I have a little cough, but I will try and keep it in check. And the way that we'll run this is that I will be speaking first, and then Amanda will chat, and you're welcome to post questions through the questions area, and we will answer those questions at the end of the two sessions. So rather than breaking up the session, we will do it at the end of the two sessions, and there'll be plenty of time for questions at the end. So without further ado, let me take you through the update of the Social Media Sustainability Index. First of all, I'll tell you just a little bit about myself and Custom Communication, the consultancy that I'm involved in, as well as SMI that runs and creates the index. And we created the index and started doing it because of our work in content and thought leadership, employee engagement, and editorial strategy and content creation around sustainability. Because of that, we were really fascinated by the way companies were communicating sustainability and how they were using social media to go about it. And out of that, as many of you who have followed this through the last 3 years will know, we started creating the Social Media Sustainability Index. And so what I'm going to show you now is a little update of where we are at this point. So before we do that, let's have a think about, the motivation for why social media and sustainability, what they have in common and why they actually work very well together. And it struck me for many years being in the world of social media for brands and also being in the world of sustainability in terms of communications, that the two things work very well together, social media and sustainability, because they have certain core elements in common. And the two work together to make best use of each other. And the fact of the matter was that companies who want to be sustainable have to be authentic in the way they talk about that. And social media is for better or worse, a very important tool for keeping companies authentic. Likewise, when we're talking about transparency, a word that is bandied around a great deal, social media, when combined with sustainability, definitely plays a big role in elevating and helping with transparency how companies want to talk. Then there's the element of community. As we know, what social has done with companies has forced them to create communities of many different kind of stakeholders, but of people who maybe they traditionally wouldn't have been thinking of talking to. And then to be really successful in talking to social media communities, it's really important of being creative. And creativity is also a crucial way of actually dealing with and talking about sustainability. So authenticity, creativity, transparency, and community all work really, really well when you're talking about sustainability and social media. Excuse my cough. But here's the thing. When we think about social media, we often think about lots of buzzwords, and we also think of it being this high tech, really kind of fancy way of communicating. And companies often, they get a little bit scared about it, and they think there's a lot of jargon involved, and there has to be a whole new kind of education of how you go about communicating. But if I asked you what these technologies you see on your screen have in common, well, some of you might say, well, they all have silly names. They're all financed with money without a business model, apart from Facebook, which makes lots of money, of course. And all of that might be true. But what they really have in common, quite simply, is that they are publishing tools. And that's the key thing I would argue to you guys about social media, is that it is a publishing medium. And so to be successful, have to know how to publish. And that means you have to think like an editor. You have to think about who your right audience is, what they care about, what you have to say to that audience that is relevant to what they care about, and then what platforms that that are you going to use to make your message and your conversation heard. Now, if you can get that right, then you're onto something quite interesting. And that is why we started looking at the Social Media Sustainability Index and how companies were doing that in a really smart way. So today's part of how we're looking at the index is actually looking at liberating the sustainability report, almost rescuing it from itself. And the reason I say that is that who reads the sustainability report, really? Certainly, we know who sustainability reports are created for. Traditionally, they were created for a small group of stakeholders, and that becomes a very important part of how a company communicates its sustainability work, offering, and messages. But all too often, these reports just get buried deep in in corporate websites, through PDFs, and in ways that people don't actually read them very well. The problem is that social media gives you a brand new audience. It also is the audience that is around traditional stakeholders, but it gives you a broader audience as well of people who maybe would never ever read your sustainability report, but are really very interested in what you have to say as an organization about sustainability. So if you're basically putting and leaving all your best information in that sustainability report, you're actually really missing a trick. Which is why the way that we look at things and the way that at Custom we go about thinking about liberating these reports is that sustainability reporting actually is brilliant, fantastic storytelling research. That was my best example of a reporter digging around, maybe not through a sustainability report, but you know what I mean. So all the information that goes into successful sustainability reporting actually could have a really good second life, so to speak, if packaged, retold, and used for a broader and sometimes a more targeted social media audience. So I just took a glance at Hertz's sustainability report here, and I hope they won't mind me just kind of looking at it and using it as an example. But all of these areas of the report that at the moment just get packaged in a fairly straightforward way could be reimagined. They could be video diaries, there could be photo essays, there could be feature articles, there could be infographics, all of which would really elevate and help the content reach a different audience. So I'm going to give you a few examples now of how companies are doing this successfully, just to make you think about different ways that you too could liberate the content and the smart information in your sustainability report. We'll start with Danone, and Danone is one of the top 10 companies in this year's Social Media Sustainability Index. And a big part of it is because of the very innovative approach it's taken to its annual sustainability report. And each part of this report, which it's reinvented online, is socially shareable and in a smart way that allows different kind of audiences to access it and brings new life into it in a way that wouldn't happen before. We have a bit of interference on the line. I apologize for that. Then one of the trends increasingly that we've been seeing is using video in a smart way to tell a shorter, more condensed, but also kind of content-friendly story about issues that live in the sustainability report, but otherwise wouldn't see the light of day. So this is Novo Nordisk, who have done a great deal of work around the area of diabetes in Indonesia. Now, the way that that might get packaged in a report might not be that might not be that interesting to a specific audience. In fact, it may only have a very small group of people who'd be interested in learning about it. But what they did is they created a very dynamic, smart, animated short feature in video form, which immediately changes and elevates and creates a new audience for the story that otherwise would have been just sat in the report. Here is Suez Environmental using video also to expand horizons, this time using YouTube as a platform around it. And so we're seeing a lot of companies using small elements of video to take the key findings of their sustainability report and to package it in a much more interesting way. Sometimes it's about data, and it can be data and infographics and all those different things here. This is what Kimberly Clark has done with some of its key data around its sustainability report, and has just animated it and illustrated it in a way that makes it far more digestible for online and social media audiences than if it was just pure numbers. Accountants love numbers. Most people online reading and wanting to get an experience don't just want to see numbers. They want to get the context around it. And this does very well with giving context. If you're BT, it's all about keeping it short and sweet. Now, BT creates a in-depth sustainability report, but it also creates this, as is the fashion at the moment online, to create this kind of rolling screen of overview to their sustainability report. And each part of it, as you can see, is able to be shared and digested by social media audiences. Then there's Nestle that is using and making good use out of not just mapping, which has been around for a long while now, and a number of companies use mapping to give a very good sense of what they're doing around the world. But actually, Nestle's built in an interactive way of checking on different case studies of what it's doing about nutrition, water, rural development, and environmental sustainability. Again, it's all about making the content livable, shareable, and more digestible than a way that might just be languishing down in that corporate report. Then there is the growing trend of making iPad apps or making mobile apps for sustainability reports. Again, will putting the whole report as an iPad app necessarily reach a much larger audience? Maybe not. It will maybe only give the core audience that might be interested in sustainability reports different ways of accessing it. But Samsung made it mobile by taking it onto Android and other elements, as you might think of a Samsung report doing. And this is a growing trend of companies who are making the whole report come to life on mobile devices. Then there's using data to inform. And remember, I was saying that no one really wants to stare at numbers. But if you can create a way of navigating those numbers and making those numbers come to life that adds value to the information journey of your readers, then there's a real kind of value to that. And this is what Nike has done, using data to inform about its materiality index and all the materials that goes into its different kind of products. This is core bread and butter information that sits in its sustainability report. But otherwise, if it hadn't done this, wouldn't have come to life, and makes the reader, whoever they are, smarter about the materials being used. Then there's the use of hashtags. Now, I know hashtags can be much maligned nowadays in the massive wall of noise that is Twitter. But if you want to kind of curate a conversation around your sustainability report, then hashtags, especially on the day maybe you release it and you want to have questions and you maybe want to have kind of a conversation going on around it, can be very useful. And this is exactly what SAP did around its sustainability update, and it created the hashtag SAP integrated to help get conversation going. And on that note, that kind of concludes the element that I want to talk to you today. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand you over, once I've unmuted her mic, to Amanda Ortega, and I'm going to make her the presenter as well of, so that Amanda can now take you through the work that Lavola's doing around sustainability reporting and communications. So, Amanda, can I hear you? Are you there with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you very much, Matthew. Can you hear me well?
I can hear you, and I just want to make sure that we can see your screen. So I can see your screen, and so yes, please, can everyone else see the screen? If you can't, please send me a note in chat or via the questions. And Amanda, over to you.
Thank you very much, Matthew. And thank you very much for inviting us to be here and speak today. And as you said at the beginning, we welcome all the attendees to write down all the questions that you may have, and we will discuss it at the end. So this was a really interesting introduction on your side, Matthew, and it was really focused on the key point, that is how is really social media affecting CSR and also affecting sustainability reporting. And based on our experience, what we have seen is that sustainability reporting has been evolving over the time and has been really affected by social media and by new information technologies. And the thing is that we need to find the perfect balance between data and exhaustivity, and also between communication, social media, and storytelling. Because the thing is that sometimes if we abuse of a lot of sustainability communication elements, but we do not provide the data, then maybe we can be falling in some kind of greenwashing. So really the key on our side is that we need to keep the transparent side and the data exhaustivity, and also develop new communication tools in order to reach the separated audiences, our stakeholders, and also to engage these stakeholders in maybe reading our sustainability reports or checking on the data and the exhaustivity. So in this kind of evolution of sustainability reporting, we have passed our debating point were long CSR reports doing in paper, and then we have evolved to PDF reports that allow more attractive elements and communicative elements, and also allow to do some summaries. And also we have moved into the web and and the integration of social media into the web, since PDF also needs to be there, but it also has some limitations related to stakeholder engagement and to how we reach this audience. And in this way of evolution is where appears, or where Witness is born. Witness is a social network specialized in sustainability that was born 3 years ago, and that was trying to create a place where these organizations and stakeholders can be together and can discuss about sustainability issues. And moreover, within this social network of Witness developed the publisher tool. So the publisher tool is this kind of last stage of this evolution, where the web allows the social media integration. It allows also to publish a report, a CSR report, to do it with design elements, to do it in a way that is accessible, but all different kind of devices, to allow design without having the technical knowledge that usually you need to have in order to create this kind of websites and reports. It also allows a lot of features that what allows us is to combine data analysis and also to keep transparency, so we can balance this tension in really a good way. And also it allows direct stakeholder engagement directly on the report. So you can integrate comments and you can integrate all the different social medias. And within this publisher tool, uh, what both Business and us at Labola we found out is that it was the perfect tool in order to create a sustainability reporting template according to the main sustainability reporting standard at the international level that we believe it's GRI. So in that sense, we at Labola, that we are an SME, a small consultancy that has always been working towards sustainability in different business units for about 30 years, a little bit more than 30 years. And we also have been working in CSR and in sustainability reporting for about more than 10 years. What we always found is that for SMEs, there were like two big barriers in order to do a sustainability report. And mainly these barriers were the lack of resources and also the lack of knowledge. So here is where the context, and we partnered with business in order to develop a sustainability report template according to G4 that allow SMEs to do their own sustainability report without having to buy the specific services or the technical services from a consultancy or from a technical partner. So this is the context where this template appears. It's a project that we have developed together, and the template has different characteristics that are quite interesting, and I will go through the main ones. So at the beginning, when you create the report based on the G4 template, the report asks you to fill some information. You can upload a cover here in the report presentation, but this you can always do it later or change it later. But the thing is that you can choose here if there is some sector supplement that is applicable to your company, so you can choose it here. And you can also indicate which are the reporting years that you're going to include in your report, and also which are your main stakeholders, considering the stakeholders in general groups, so suppliers, customers, employees. The thing is that once you create the template according to these parameters, all the tables that are included in the template and that are related to these years, so data related to years and to stakeholders, will be automatically filled. So the template allows some automatic functions, like also in the GRI content index, that it has been automatically linked to each section and each page. So at the end, you need to check it because specifically because of the materiality aspect in G4, but by default it comes with a lot of links. Then what you're looking here is the structure of the template. We have created directly a report considering all the aspects that are included in GRI. And what we have done is to create a structure that is a communicative structure. So what you can see, we have the sections that could be the equivalent of a chapter in a traditional sustainability report. And inside each section, you have specific pages. So what we have done is to create two nice pages that are at a glance page and a company page, and then the stakeholders page, grouping some of the main aspects of the company, and then the economic, environmental, labor, society, customers, and suppliers, which are aggregating all the information that GRI is asking. We cannot see here all the structure because it's bigger than what it is here. It's missing the GRI content index and also the reporting profile. Okay, the thing is that you start with this structure that has been already created, and then you adapt it according to the materiality results of your materiality process, or you adapt it to the needs of your company. We're thinking, for example, in a lot of SMEs within a supply chain, so it can be really adapted to the needs by easily deleting blocks or pages or moving sections or moving pages from one section to the other. We also, the template is including some design elements. So the at a glance page is a page that we always include in our report, and it's a kind of summary. And what we have done here is to include also some icons that can be personalized. You can change the color, you can change the size in order to create a kind of infographic. It's not a real infographic, but in order to provide a summary of the main indicators that are inside your report. Then we also have created the stakeholder section. This is really important because in G4 the key point is materiality, and so what we have done is to include a section in the report that is asking for the stakeholders map. So you as a company need to define your stakeholders and the ways you communicate and engage with them, and also you need to explain all your materiality process. So we just created this value chain element that you can personalize with the different icons, and you can always create a different image and upload it on your own. But the thing is that in this element of value chain, you're going to be able to indicate the main impacts of all the impacts in your value chain, and then you will have another section to describe your materiality process and which have been the aspects that you selected as material, and so that you are reporting on it. Then, and this is probably one of the key points related to the lack of knowledge of SMEs and the lack of access to this technical knowledge, what we have done is to include a lot of pop-ups with instructions. So every table that is proposed there, or every text blog that is proposed, has a pop-up instruction that is telling you the proposed contents that were supposed to be there, so the things that you have to report on. And it's also indicating you which are the GRI references that this blog or this content is related to. So in case you want to obtain more information, more details, or external references, you can go to the G4 guidelines and check the information there. These pop-ups are really one of the key points, and one of the key points of the beta test that I will let you know later, because if these instructions are well done, then anybody without technical knowledge on CSR or on sustainability reporting should be able to do the report. Otherwise, we need to adapt or change these instructions in order to be understandable by everybody. So the idea is that we spread the sustainability reporting process within a lot of SMEs. Finally, this is what you see when you're trying to add new content. So you have like a proposal saying you can add your text here, and you can easily edit the content. You can choose between different fonts, different colors. You will now see how you can adapt also the design theme of the whole template. But you have some tools in order to create highlights or to adapt all the content of your sustainability report to a more attractive and sexy way of presenting things, while keeping all the transparency, because you will be providing here the data. But the thing is that you can also target different contents to different stakeholders. So you can say probably the labor section will be really targeted to my employees, and when an employee of your company then consults the report, he can say, well, I'm an employee, so filter all the reports to my targeted contents. Then finally, what you see here is the design the design theme that you can adapt. You can adapt the font, the text size, the color, and you can customize all your reports. So you can include your corporate colors and different things. And you can also, of course, include videos and images all around the publisher in a really easy way. So the thing is that once you have done all the contents and you have write it down and you have checked the design, then what you have to do probably is to check the GRI content index just to adapt it, because the GRI content index that is included in the template, it has as the same as the whole template has all the aspects, so you will have to adapt it to your materiality results. And then the result that you can see is a sustainability report published that is accessible from all the different devices, but it also creates you or allows you to create a PDF report, so you can always keep the paper, as it seems that it's really an important thing in sustainability reporting. So finally, just saying that we are launching today the beta test of the template. So the idea is that we would like to receive as much feedback as possible in order to check if the instructions that we have included are clear and are really understandable by everybody inside a company that will be or could be involved in a sustainability report process, and also to check if the features that has the publisher are the ones that are really needed, or do we have to develop others. The thing is that it's a tool. The template is in a kind of continuous development, so what we can do is what we want to do is to launch this beta, and once we get all the feedback, then launch the final template. But keep in mind that we will always be including new things and changes according to the feedback that we have been receiving. So this beta test is available both in English and Spanish also. And we really invite you to ask for an invitation to this beta test on this link that you are watching. So on my side, I think that that's it. So if you want that we go on with the questions, Matthew, or I give it back to you.
Yes, certainly. Amanda, thank you very much. Could you just go back one screen so people can see the link again? And
sure.
And if they want to try a beta version of the Publisher on Business, they just click on that link and try it out. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. So there you go, everyone, for the link. So, so Amanda, thank you very much for taking us through that. Now, attendees, guys, please send your questions through. I have a question for you already, Amanda, from Nicola Ellen, who asks, what separates a good reporting approach that isn't simply just using the latest in Vogue communication tools? I think maybe that was mentioning the Vogue communication tools I was talking about. But I think talk us through, because obviously you've created and you've looked at this using Business. What do you think makes a good reporting approach then in a good sustainability report?
For me, there are like two key points, and I think the G4 has tried to emphasize these key points. And a good sustainability report needs to be transparent, needs to be focused, needs to have enough data so that any stakeholder can really evaluate the performance of the company with all this information. So it needs to be material for sure, but at the same time, it has to be engaging enough or attractive enough to bring all this information to the different stakeholders. So the only thing that I have a lot of doubts, and I think that it's something that we're going to see in the future, is how do we combine
I think we just lost you there.
publish a sustainability report or a document with all the data and being really exhaustive in the data and the performance, and then create different communication elements or integrate different communication elements or create it targeted to the different stakeholders so that we can be sure that all the information and all the management and all the sustainability management that we are doing arrives to stakeholders, and so we also get the feedback that we need in order to ensure the materiality and transparency.
Okay. Okay. Now I got a couple of questions about the platform that hopefully you can answer. There's a question about, can you use Business with any topic?
Sure. Not Business, but the publisher.
The publisher, yes, of course.
Yeah, sure. The publisher is really, it's a tool that has been designed in order to publish sustainability reports. So the features are designed and thinking in sustainability communications in general, or integrated reports or annual reports. But in reality, you can use publisher to publish any kind of report. So it's a publishing tool that also also has been developing, or it's developing, different templates. So it's like the platform and the templates. Yeah.
And also a key point, right, is that nearly every part of the tool allows you to share content with other kind of social networks and with other communities.
Yeah, you have a direct link to social media on each page, so you will be able to share this content, this specific page, and you are able also to include comments on each different page.
Okay. Now here's a question again about it. How can the report, or can the report, be integrated into an existing company website?
Okay, so a report published in the publishing tool?
Yes,
Okay,
I guess the question is, could it be embedded into a company website,
sure,
or is it
sure,
just a
no
link off it?
problem. Yeah, no problem. It can be embedded in any company website.
Okay. All right. I think the answer is yes to this, but is the publisher available for US users?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure. The
I'm pretty.
publisher is able internationally as well as the templates too.
Okay, good, good. Um, so I have a question for you while I'm waiting
Yeah.
for some more questions to come through as well. Is that well, actually, here's another question coming through. What's the cost of the software? Is it does this cost money, or is it based online or downloadable?
Now, it is based online, and the thing is that we are still working on the different prices. What we are thinking is in creating different packs to target both different kinds of companies and also different needs. But we are thinking now around $200 per month, more or less, which be starting at 150 euros per month.
To use
But
the
we are still
publisher,
working. Yeah, exactly. To use not the template.
the
We are
template,
always
right?
talking about the template. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Um, what is it you think, you're having used and bringing sustainability reports to life online like this, and in a shareable, and obviously it gives you the option for infographics, and it gives you the option for storytelling. What do you think is the most interesting way of illustrating, of animating, of storytelling around sustainability information?
Wow. I think that there are a lot of different ways to do that. And what I always think is that there is not just one that is the best, but you always need to know your stakeholders, to know the people you want to bring the story, and then to target the information. And as in CSR in general, you need to sometimes work with your stakeholders so that they can engage with you. So I think that it's the same. We need to create a little bit and raise the awareness about sustainability and try to engage our stakeholders, so try to know which are the main channels that they use, know how can we create information in a attractive way so that they will be willing to check it and then use these tools. So
Okay.
I think that it will really depend on the company and on a lot of things, activity and the country where you are operating.
So I think that's interesting, because that adds kind of flows into another question that's coming through from a gentleman, Robert Axelrod, who said it's an interesting technological platform, but SMEs are seldom compelling communicators, and that this platform seems to encourage compelling presentation, but bypasses the question of compelling content. And and I think if I can speak to that question, because content obviously is kind of my forte, if for want of a better word, is yes, this platform is a very smart platform for creating your reports. But when it comes to creating compelling content, it's all about understanding who your audience is, and it's all
Yeah.
about understanding what you have to say that matches the interests of that audience. And I think there's a phrase or a term in here that becomes very important when you think about that, and it is about being useful. It's not just about saying what you want to talk about. It's about communicating, especially within the framework of the report you're putting there, information that other communities and audiences will find useful. And that once you start thinking that way, you can start thinking about creating content that actually will be compelling rather than content that just feels corporate. So a question for both of us has come through here. How to combine the corporate presence in social media with the upload of the memory? I mean, other social media which a company can use daily, how to kind of engage followers. So I guess the question here is really how do you create content? How do you create something in a report that has the gravitas of the report, but also builds and engages social media communities? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, the thing is that, and especially again in G4, the thing is that you need to engage your stakeholders to do the materiality process, and it's a key point for you to start doing your sustainability report. It was important on G3 also, but now it's really, really the core of the sustainability reporting. So the thing is that you have to manage to engage your stakeholders in order to define which are the key topics or the key aspects you want to include in the report. Then the thing is that to create contents on a daily basis, to engage stakeholders on a daily basis, I don't know if you really need to create contents on a daily basis in order to engage your stakeholders. Because I can imagine, or I always say, imagine how you are part of a lot of stakeholders groups. So if a lot of companies started or tried to engage me on a daily basis, I will not have the ability. I couldn't really engage with all of them. So you really need to kind of balance your resources, and as you said, really try to know your stakeholders, and then try to find the tools and the information that can engage them. Not only on a daily basis, it will depend on the kind of activity again that you have, but what you can always do is take advantage of the sustainability reporting process that will give you a picture of the whole company on a date or on a year and evaluate the performance, and then try to communicate this information separately, or the main information or some of the details, like when you create a report and then you spread all the information within the report in social media. So I think that you will probably have a lot of contents if you do your sustainability report that you can spread using social media.
Yeah, and if I add on to that, if you look at any annual CSR report or a sustainability report, and you go through it, you tend to find, and I'm talking from an editorial point of view of storytelling and ideas and what you can create out of features and infographics, there's probably about 70 to 80 different types of stories that gets bundled and packaged into these sustainability reports. Now, those stories could just be a set of data that you could reimagine as a graphic, or they could be a little video diary. They could be great images that you could write captions around, and none of them could be just simply republished as they are in the kind of sustainability report themselves. But by repackaging, by reinventing, and using the sustainability report as the raw material for your social media storytelling, you really have a really strong resource there that you can draw on. We have time for one more questions, and there's a question that's coming through that is asked basically kind of it's around sustainability reporting structure, and should it be aligned to the material issues of the company, of what's going on. I guess maybe G4 answers that. Is that right, Amanda? But can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so if I understood, is that the structure should be aligned to the materiality? Is that the question?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, totally. What we did was, so we wanted the template to be really easy. So what we did was to include all the aspects that the GRI guidelines are including. But the thing is that once you do your materiality process, then you either have to or either delete some, maybe the whole sections, maybe you need to delete some pages, or maybe you need to add new aspects, because GRI and G4 guidelines recognize that maybe you have some material topics that are not included in the G4 guidelines. So for sure you will need to delete, but it's so easy as deleting all the aspects that are non-material, and in case you have new material topics, then add these new material topics. But the thing is that you can take advantage of the structure that has been already proposed in the material aspects that are included in the GRI guidelines. You can like copy the same structure and create it for your new aspects.
Okay, very good. On that note, and if we don't have any more questions, Amanda, I'm going to thank you very much for talking with us today. I'm going to thank our audience for your questions and for sticking with us. And we will be posting a recording of this online on the SMI site and through Wisness. And we encourage you to go and check out the publisher, the publishing platform on Wisness. So thank you very much for joining us, everyone, and look forward to seeing you again at more of SMI webinars. Thank you.